It's Divinity said.
No, one said.
Divinity said.
He's going to talk about me. Shut up for a minute.
She only speaks in past tense.
Yeah, I did say some shit.
She did say stuff.
Are you guys following the Minnesota attorney who was charged with a shitload of drugs, firearms violations, and child neglect? I certainly am. I would like to introduce to you Nick Rekieta when he introduced his chat to Sophie Long. You might remember Sophie Long. She was under 10 years old when she accused her mother of abusing her and allowing her mother's boyfriend to abuse her. And Nick Rekieta was super on board, wanted to shine the cameras into the family court. Matter of fact, he even got a letter from an attorney telling him that he should not be putting this information out there, to think of the children. And Nick just gave it a big middle finger because the First Amendment is number one. And so here we are, just going to have a little recap. You'll see Nick today and you'll see old Nick.
Again, Nick has stated he wants all trials to be televised and fully transparent. Will Nick advocate for the television treatment of his own potential trial?
It's not really up to me on whether or not the trial is televised and fully transparent. Misconception. People think, again, they've created this fiction in their head that the state thinks that we abused our children. All of the other stuff that people have created about child endangerment, child neglect, child maltreatment, that's not in the state's case. They don't believe that that's happened. The primary concern of everybody should always be whether or not Sophie is safe, and be careful not to get attached to the personality of either of the parties. There's a child at play here who is the most important person in this equation, with very close seconds being the siblings of the child who may also be in danger. I don't have the actual documents, so I'm going to use the information that's been given to me, and this information is sourced primarily from the father. This is what I've heard, and I can't verify any of this information other than the rumor mill. In my opinion, family court isn't ready for the internet. It's not. It's absolutely not, and it's great that family court is being exposed to the internet. The public accessibility of the courts is critical to our system of justice, and it has not been honored. I have heard an allegation that the mother and Jacob were doing cocaine in the presence of the minor children, or at least in the presence of Sophie. So I am waiting to see a live stream anywhere or a link to the live stream. We'll keep monitoring this for a little bit. Looks like hearing is not live. RIP to that. Well, it's really unfortunate that we will not see the hearing. Hopefully we will get some information about this, about the case coming after the hearing. It is very frustrating to see a court shut down speech like that. And that should not happen. It shouldn't happen. Even if the dad is in the wrong, it shouldn't happen.
That was released yesterday. All right. So if you have not heard, some documents in my case just keep getting released. It's amazing. It's very, very interesting how that keeps happening. But that being said,
I've been trying to get my hands on some of the documents themselves. If anybody has a line to anybody with documents in this case and would like to confidentially release them, I can work with that. One interesting thing is, as long as I don't facilitate the illegal recording or anything like that, as a journalist, I have First Amendment protections to go ahead and broadcast it, whether or not, again, as long as I didn't participate or solicit the illegal production of material, even if the material is supposed to be private and protected, the state of Texas has no jurisdiction over me. The Frisco PD body cam footage, That could be interesting. Representations in my cease and desist demands. But if you are the kind of person to reveal the most intimate private matters regarding little children, go right ahead. There is a cause of action for that, and it's called invasion of privacy. Oh, the internet is forever. Isn't it great that this intimate private information will follow these children around for the rest of their lives? Thank you, Laura Elkin. It is not an invasion of privacy. Invasion of privacy does not apply to matters of public concern, as there is something called the First Amendment. But I still believe in the underlying concept. Again, the nature of how law has changed and how sort of accusations have changed over the years. There are certain places where maybe it's not appropriate. Again, like if a 5-year-old is testifying about sexual abuse, like we probably don't want that to be just broadcast to the world and to have that follow the child around, right? Like that. I just think that maybe is one of those reasonable accommodations we can make. Isn't it great that this intimate private information will follow these children around for the rest of their lives, so long as there is some sort of newsworthiness, some sort of public concern going on here, and there's a logical nexus between the private issues and that public concern. There is a First Amendment protection to broadcast these quote unquote private facts.
But we had enough to afford to send Jack to get a zero tolerance hair follicle test. It was a zero tolerance test. It ruled out external exposure. He had to have ingested it in some way, shape, or form. What the hell am I supposed to do in this situation?
If it's my kid and some judge orders me to stop talking about my kid on the internet, yeah, come take my keyboard from my hands and you'll be met, with a shotgun on the way. You can't stop me from talking about my own child. That's our First Amendment right. It's fundamental to who we are.
But in my case, I also know the truth. And unfortunately, for me, I guess, is I can't share that truth with you.
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case.
Overruled.
Good call.
It's just too damn risky.
Can the mother be charged in all of this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they show that she was complicit in abuse, she can go straight to prison and then to hell for all I care. And it is hard to imagine a situation where saying exposing the abuse of your child is somehow more damaging to the child than the abuse itself. That's what is going on here, though. Donovan says Nick is a child neglector at minimum. We're not charged with child neglect. We're not accused of child neglect at all. Actually, that's not a concern of the state in regards to us at all. It's interesting when you really get down to like what the state considers like child maltreatment and child neglect, and when you put rules down on paper, they often don't make sense. And this is the boon and bane of the family court system and the juvenile protection system, is that often you get nonsensical results. For example, you can't have a controlled substance in your house, which sure, that makes sense. That's a sensical law, but there's a whole bunch of substances in your house that are perfectly fine to have that are as dangerous or even far more dangerous to children, like bleach, for example. Again, it's a very important case because the safety of children is at stake.
Don't let any other person destroy you. You get to destroy you. They don't. No matter who it is. So cheers to you. Don't be beaten by a process. Don't be beaten by a result. Only be beaten by yourself.
Lost. Yeah. Rikita lost. You sure did.